The magic of the markets is a very interactive kind of simulation in which you're trying to teach one very simple idea, and that's that trade creates wealth. You want to put the students in the situation where they, as traders, experience the increase of wealth that exists when people voluntarily exchange items with each other. In the exercise, The Magic of Markets, you set up the classroom by distributing the brown paper bags to the students. You can put them out on the desks before students come into the classroom, or you can go around and hand them out as they're sitting at their desks. Ask them not to open the bags and look in them, and then you want to make sure that you've distributed the bags in a random fashion so that the different letters on the bags are different places in the room. Okay, I know about you guys. You're the kind that on Christmas morning, on Hanukkah, you go down and you rattle and squeeze and stuff like that. Don't touch it. Set it in front of you and admire it. This is probably the first time in your life that you have come to class and teacher has given you a gift. It's from me to you. Before you actually begin the simulation exercise itself, you want to review some of the things and set up a hypothesis. So I asked the students why they think people trade, and we wrote down a series of their responses on the flip chart. Okay, because I need something to get something I don't have. Don't belabor this situation. This is something that we'll come back to later after the simulation and examine whether or not their hypotheses were borne out by the experience. All right, so I want to get rid of something, And I just wrote down everything that they responded, whether I thought it was correct answer or not, because the point of the exercise is for them to actually experience it and then to evaluate their hypotheses afterwards. All right, the thing that's in the bag that is yours, your very own thing, because I gave it to you. Thanks. Okay. I want you to open the bag and look at it, but do not take it out of the bag and do not show it to anyone. Then we're going to actually do the game in 4 stages. In the first stage, the students are going to look at the item that's in the bag, and we're going to ask them to rate it in terms of their level of satisfaction. The key point in this one is to have them not take the items out and show them to each other. So they're just rating the item in the bag based on their own initial impression. So if this is the greatest thing that you can imagine having, then you're going to rate it a 5. Okay? If it's okay, pretty nice, it's all right, it's a 3. If it's, I can't believe I got this lame thing, first time a teacher ever gives me a present, then it's a 1. Okay? All right, so how many people in here would rate what they have in the bag as a 1? Raise your hand and leave them up till I count you. 1 is the worst. 1 is 7, 8, 9. Okay, how many 5s? Ooh, the real winners. Look who these people are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, now, all right, that's just a little information that I was gathering. I'll take names later. The next thing I want you to do is that you may take what you have out of the bag and you can see what other people have, but you can't trade it. You must keep what you have. The second round is to have them pull the item out of the bag and they can compare it. They can look at what other people have. What we're really doing here is similar to people going into a store, watching television or advertisements, where they begin to see what's available to them. And so they make choices and make judgments on the values of the things they have or the things they want based on their perceptions of what else is out there and what's available. Now, you got to rate again. You may change your rating, you may keep your rating the same, but you have to raise your hand so I can count you, because we need to have the same number of ratings every time, okay? So after you've looked around and you've seen what other people have, what do you think? How many people are rating what they have as a 1? Right here, 0. You guys are just ungrateful. All right, wait, hands up, hands up. 1. And how many 5s? Okay, now, on the bag, there's a letter, okay? And in this round of the game, you may trade, but you may trade only with people who have the same letter on the bag as you do. In the third step, we're going to actually let the students trade, but we want to restrict the number of people that they can trade with. Now for classroom management purposes and to reduce the amount of milling around, you probably want to designate areas in the room. The A's go over in this corner, the B's in this corner, and that tends to facilitate that. Let the trading go on for a minute or two until it seems that the activity has kind of died down. Then ask the students to return to their seats and again rate their satisfaction with the item that they have. How many threes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now you can trade with anybody in the room. But remember, you don't have to trade. It's yours. And you can take things apart and trade parts. The final round of the activity, you allow students to trade with anybody in the room. And so what they're seeing happen here is that as their options to trade increase, they have more alternatives, and what we hope will happen is that they will experience a greater level of satisfaction in the room as a whole. Yeah, this is nice. Okay, we need to rate again what you ended up with. Remember, you need to vote even if you did not trade, okay? How many people out there ended up with 5s? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The important part here is to make sure that all the students vote each time you solicit their level of satisfaction. Sometimes they have a tendency to think, well, if I didn't change my level of satisfaction, I don't have to vote again. And that will mess up the calculations. When you have the calculations written down, then you want to multiply them. So if you have 10 people at a level of 5, that's 50 satisfaction points. If you have 4 people at a level of 4, that's 16 satisfaction points. And you want to total those for each of the 4 rounds. Now, the first time, if we look at the satisfaction points, you guys came up with 173 points of satisfaction. Part of that was politeness, okay? You say, well, somebody gave me something, so I should be kind of nice, even though this thing is really lame. I will rate it as a 3 instead of a 1, okay? All right, then we let people look at what other people had. Now, what are you going to guess? Did the satisfaction go up or down? Yeah, you guys are jealous of each other, and you saw things that you wanted more, and so your total satisfaction points went down to 166. Now, sometimes in the first round of the game, first and second rounds, the score will go down as students look at what other people have and change the value that they placed on the thing that they have in their own bags. But once the trading starts, as they begin to trade, you'll see the level of satisfaction go up, which is exactly what we want to demonstrate here, that without adding anything else into the mix, we were able to create wealth because people were engaging in voluntary trade. So, Katie, what did we get the last time? 223. Okay, 223 points the last time. And you can even see it in the progression here of the number of people who were up in the 5 category, okay? I've got some questions here that we want to talk about what happened as a result of the trading process. And we want to go back to the list that you guys made in the beginning. Okay? So, is there anybody in here who traded to get something he didn't have? He or she didn't have? Okay? Is there anybody who traded for something they needed? Oh, baby shampoo. Okay. Is there anybody who traded to get rid of something that you didn't want? Oh, okay. Now, one of the things that you'll hear as you study economics and that you'll hear as you, or realize as you listen to the media and read the newspaper is that we hear a lot about things that economists disagree about. And what I want to talk to you about here is one of the things that they agree about, and that's that trade creates wealth. The beauty of this activity is its simplicity. And so I think despite the temptation to complicate it by, for example, adding a group that you can't trade with, or a tariff, or some sort of a ban or sanction on one or another group, you want to resist the temptation to do that. You're teaching one very simple concept, and that's that voluntary trade creates wealth. And you want to create an experience that you can refer back to in your teaching that all of the students have shared, and that becomes the basis for their further learning about trade.